Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast, the Project Investigation Collaboration, brought to you by the Veritas Project. And as always, we are here with our gracious host and founder of the Veritas Project, Robert Wikibob Curtis.
Hello.
And I'm lead investigator Todd Boyer, and welcome back to the podcast, and welcome to all the new people.
Yeah.
So, which
Welcome
we're getting a
aboard.
lot of new people here lately. So,
Yeah.
our Book of Oberon podcast went viral for us.
Yeah.
I think it finally ended up at like 13, was it 12 or 13,000 views it got
I think
in
so.
2.5 weeks?
A lot.
And
for us.
we picked up 1,750 new subscribers in literally 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So we're on our way to that silver play button. We were going to get there someday.
Yeah.
So today we are going to talk about the Skywatch program. And this is something that just came onto our radar. It's something new that just came out. And, you know, you guys know us. We like to be ahead of the game on these things.
Yeah.
So that way when somebody brings it up in 3 weeks, you'd be like, hey,
Wait a minute.
I saw these guys talk about this
Yeah,
already.
it's the same thing they were already talking about. Right.
So we try to stay ahead of the game. Anything in local news?
Not really.
Well, really not me neither. Ain't nothing really going on.
No.
My back is finally back in decent shape, so I can actually move. Last week, you guys missed it. I nearly fell out of the chair when I got up to leave because I tweaked my back so bad. Yeah, it was rough. I literally almost fell, didn't I, when I went to get up. So, but I guess since we don't have anything in the local news, we'll jump right onto the Skywatch program. So, what the Skywatch is we'll give a quick overview here. Basically what it is some scientists have found this, have discovered, how would you put that? They've created a way to call UAPs.
Right.
So it's all proprietary and none of the good information is out there, obviously, but it's going under peer review now.
Yeah.
And they have supposedly 100% success rate at calling UAPs.
So that's what they say.
That's what they say.
They also say they created this protocol, which they did not.
So, but
Dr. Stephen Greer has been doing this for like 20 years now.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but this is all new into the thing in the peer review, and we're going to get into the details of it.
We need our microphone.
We got to move the microphone closer.
We need
Forgot
our
to do that.
microphone.
You might be able to hear us better. So, the Skywatcher initiative, it aims to study unidentified anomalous phenomenon, which is UAPs, right, through both technology and consciousness-based methods.
Yep.
And it combines electromechanical signaling, machine calling,
Right.
with neuromeditative practices, so psionic calling, right? So stuff like, what was the project where they explored other places? Basically,
Stargate.
Thank you. And they're using that to attract and document UAPs.
Right.
So it's little machine, little brain going on, and they're trying to call in UFOs. That's the gist of it.
Right.
Supposedly it's working. But now the program seeks to provide empirical evidence of UAP interactions using advanced sensor arrays.
Yeah.
Now, Skywatcher emphasizes a structured scientific approach to validate their methodologies, and the initiative has garnered attention for its claims of consistent UAP responses to their techniques.
Right.
Like I said, they were saying 100% success rate. Not sure if that's true, but... So, our scientists involved in our little play today, we have Jake Barber, who's the founder and lead investigator of the Skywatch Project. James Fowler, he heads the technology team focusing on signal generation and data collection. Dr. Gary Nolan, and he is a Stanford immunologist contributing scientific expertise to the project. Alex Klaukus involved in project development and outreach, and Matt Pines, he participates in field operations and data analysis. So that is our group of scientists. Mm-hmm. So, like Bob said, there's been other people working on this prior, but there's so many different ways you can approach it as far as, what signal you're putting out or what frequencies you're sending out.
Yeah.
And they're supposedly having phenomenal success with this. So the dog whistle is what they're calling this, and it refers to their proprietary system that emits specific electronic signals intended to attract the UAPs.
Right.
Now, Skywatcher reports a 100% success rate in eliciting UAP responses during field tests using the system. Now, the exact frequency and configurations used are undisclosed due to, security concerns.
Right.
And multiple sensors, including electro-optical cameras, radio detectors, are employed to capture data during the events. Now, controlled tests with random signals reportedly failed to attract any UAPs, suggesting specificity. They have to use the exact signal that the dog whistle uses to attract it. So, and I've seen some things where they were saying they even have ones that don't even show up unless you're using infrared.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get into that later. We've got all the breakdown of I believe it's 9 different UFOs that they have claimed to call in on a regular basis.
They have a whole classification system that they've developed, so they can say, like, this is the manta ray, this is jellyfish, this is, so they can classify the craft that they're interacting with.
So, let's see. Now, this approach, right, the psionic calling, it involves team members using meditative techniques to mentally project intentions of contact. Basically, they meditate, send themselves out, we want to talk to you, kind of stuff. Just your normal...
That's what I was saying. This is the CE5 protocol that Dr. Greer has been using for decades.
Right.
So, nothing new.
Right. And that practice is based on the hypothesis that the consciousness can influence or attract the UAPs.
Right.
Now, sessions are conducted in conjunction with technological signaling to assess combined effects, and participants report subject experience during the sessions, which are documented by analysis. The team aims to determine if there's a measurable correlation between these practices and UAP manifestations.
Right.
So, I mean, they're taking a scientific approach to it, and they're trying to break it down. But you guys know as well as I do, anything that's not considered mainstream science is going to have an asterisk next to it.
Yeah.
When it comes to this stuff,
all of this stuff is fringe, science until it's not.
Right.
So,
and that's our bread and butter.
Right.
We like the fringy stuff.
That's where we live.
That's where we live, on the fringe. That's why our motto is "Welcome to the Fringe."
Yeah.
So the UAP taxonomy, like Bob said, they categorized and observed the UAPs into 9 distinct classes based on shape and behavior. And each class is associated with specific flight patterns and interaction characteristics. Now, this aids in standardizing the observations and facilitating comparative studies.
Right.
And like I said, we have a list of that, and we will get into that at the end of the breakdown of each ship.
Right.
Now, the visual documentation supports the classification system, enhancing analytical capabilities. So they actually can say, okay, this ship was this is what we did, this ship showed up, this ship showed up. So, now this all started back in 2020, when the initial formation of the Skywatcher team, commencement of preliminary experiments. Right. And in 2021, the development and refinement of the dog whistle signal system came into play. And then in 22, integration of the neuromeditative, so that's when they added in the mind aspect. Right. And then in 2023, release of the first documentary detailing early finding and methodologies. And ongoing data is currently being collected with plans to publish a comprehensive results by the end of this year.
Yeah.
Which then will go up for peer review and maybe even turn into a full study,
Right. A full
peer reviewed study.
Right.
Yep. So now when we get into UFOs, there's a lot of them out there, and even we've discussed before around here, we've had one of the biggest UFO sightings literally in Bob's backyard here. Then that took place. What year was that? Do you remember?
99.
99.
Yeah.
So this was a giant triangular shaped craft that literally flew over multiple counties, was followed by multiple law enforcement, appeared in the middle of the night, and flew around, and they just literally passed it off county to county, officer to officer, until it disappeared during rush hour traffic the next morning.
Yep.
A large triangular craft. So, obviously UAPs, previously known as UFOs, aren't a thing of the past. And we actually, excuse me, we actually did a full podcast when Congress came out and said, yes, we have aliens in the ocean.
Right.
So that was what, 2-3 months ago, we did a full podcast on just that. So we know things are out there.
Yep. They've admitted to it. There was the whole, what is the thing? Bags, cute bags or something like that was the code for TikTok, where they were talking about the drones off the coast of New Jersey.
Oh yeah.
And every night you had these two warring factions, right? There's the people who are watching the beach cameras and can see these UFOs off the coast coming in and out of the water. And then there's the people from the Parks Department who are physically on the beaches and camp.
Right.
So then the people from the Park Department are going to the press and saying, no, this is all made up. And then the people from the internet are going, well, I see it all night. Right. So no one was adult enough to say, well, obviously then they're infrared devices, right? Because if you can see it on the infrared beach camera, but you can't with your own eyeball, then that means it's infrared.
Right.
Not that they're lying to you, right? Because I watched the footage from the beach cameras when this was going on, and I saw, you could see clearly there's vehicles coming out of the ocean and flying towards the camera and flying back and disappearing back in the ocean. Like I saw it with my own eyes. So, I'm in the camp of people like if it's not there when you look at it with your
naked
eye, and then obviously it's something infrared.
Right. So the data collection analysis, the utilization of multi-sensor arrays to capture the broad spectrum of data during the field experiments, just like Bob was saying, they're using infrared, they're using heat, they're using night vision, they're using all different types of data collection so they can see these craft. And some of them they say they can't even see unless it's on infrared.
Yeah.
So now the data includes visual, infrared, electromagnetic readings, and structure protocols ensure consistency and repeatability in data gathering. Sorry, I'm a little dry in the mouth tonight. Collected data undergoes rigorous analysis to identify pattern and anomalies. Now, plans are in place to share findings with the broader scientific community per peer review.
Right.
So that is coming up, and hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have something, and we can maybe retouch on it and come back and say, yes, this is what was found. Now, here's the good stuff for you guys. Now, Skywatcher, they maintain an official website, Skywatcher.ai, if you guys want to go there and check it out. It provides updates. There's not a lot of information on it. We just checked it out. Not a ton of information.
Right.
They also have a YouTube channel, Skywatcher HQ, and that features the documentaries, why am I mispronouncing that? And field footage. And the team encourages academic collaboration and has established contact channels for researchers. So they're like us. They want everybody to get involved, get their brain wrapped around it all. They don't want you to think, what they think. They want you to get involved and figure it out yourselves too. So regular updates aim to keep the public informed about the progress and the findings. And of course, transparency is emphasized. Those certain techniques and technologies, they got to keep proprietary, right? Because it's their stuff for security reasons. We don't want everybody out there, every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there calling in UFOs every other night.
Yeah.
So, have some cluttered airspace up there. So, the scientific approach and methodology that they're using is they're using a 6-level framework to systematically test their hypothesis. And the current focus is on level 3, which is the analysis and testing of the electromechanical signaling method. And that's kind of where they're at now. And the next thing they're going to do is seek independent verification of the results.
Right.
So this is where the peer review comes in. So the methodologies are designed to be reproducible and withstand scientific scrutiny. And obviously that's what any experiment, you want it to end up in that situation.
Right.
So the team acknowledges the preliminary nature of the findings and seek to validate them through rigorous testing. So, this is an ongoing thing. I mean, this isn't something that just happened overnight, but it's made its way to the limelight. So if this is a continued thing, it just makes you wonder, how many of these crafts are just hanging around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if they can call them on a whim or whatever, how many are just hanging around, or how far is the signal going to draw them in?
Right. And what is it like? It's just cruising around the atmosphere, and then they call it in, or do they call it and then it shows up?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Is it outside the atmosphere and then come in? Okay.
Like they see it first, and then they're like pointing the dog whistle device at it and like getting its attention. Like that's what I don't understand, because I get like the psionic thing, because it, like I say, Stephen Greer's been doing that for years.
Right.
So if that's what they're doing, then getting the craft into their vicinity and then using the dog whistle to make it come closer,
right,
then that is pretty cool.
So. Obviously, their objectives are to complete the current phase of testing and move towards independent verification, and then publish their detailed findings in peer-reviewed journals to contribute to scientific, discourse on UAPs.
Right.
So, and they want to enhance the dog whistle system based on the ongoing research and feedback, and expand the collaboration with the academic and research institutes, because they want this to. I mean, they're like us. They want everybody to know what's going on out there. We believe there's more going on in this world than we can ever imagine, and we want people to open their eyes and see that we are just not black and white, that there's the whole spectrum out there.
Right, like there's more stuff going on that we don't understand.
Yeah, and to think that we understand everything is just,
right.
And
we know for a fact, like an indisputable fact, and the facts don't care how you feel about it, that the government has recovered alien aircraft.
Right.
The government, that's a fact. So if you can get upset and raise your blood pressure being upset about it, it won't alter the fact that the government has recovered alien aircraft. So if this is some way to call them in, then obviously the last people in the world that you want to give the dog whistle to would be our government. Because I tell you what they're going to do is use it and then shoot down these aircraft over and over again, so they can gobble up all of that technology and ferret it away into some sort of thing that they're going to come out with. Oh, look, in 10 years, we invented this cool flying car that we totally didn't get from an aircraft that we shot down. And in unrelated news,
this Men in Black with the Velcro.
Alien Armada is on its way to our planet because we've been taking them out. Like that's just how they are. Like, right. So I'd be willing to bet that's a big part of their protocol. The reason why they haven't disclosed it yet is because the Army would be out there shooting UFOs out of the sky every single day.
Right. So they have them classified into 9 classifications. Right. So the first one is the Tetra, the Class 1, and that's a 4-sided geometric shape, possibly like a tetrahedron. And then Class 2 is the Tic Tac, which we've covered the Tic Tac several times before. Looks like a giant flying Tic Tac. Yeah. Like a little cylinder with rounded edges. And they can say it resembles the 2004 Nimitz incident. So then they have the Blob, which I saw the video on the Blob. That's an amorphous, structureless craft that changes shapes. It moves and wiggles all over. I saw that one when the video was fantastic. So the Beam is a cylindrical or linear object, sometimes with luminous trails. The Manta Ray is a wide, flat craft with wing-like appendages. Right. And then Class 6 is the Bright Star. It's a point of light that's typically high altitude, but it has erratic motions. Right. And the Jellyfish, the translucent with trailing parts, pulsing movement. So actually like a physical jellyfish in the sky.
It has stuff hanging out the bottom of it.
So then the Hornet, which is the Class 8, small, fast darting craft with aggressive movements, which I think that one falls under what usually the fighter pilots usually see. Yeah. The ones that change direction at Mach speeds and things like that. And last but not least, Class 9 is the Egg, smooth oval-shaped object, often hovering or slow moving. Now, the total number of sightings per class is not yet disclosed, and some classes may represent different phases or views from the same craft, because of the angle of observation and the way it moves around or whatever. But multiple sightings have been documented with supporting video evidence, and that evidence is out there. You can find it. I saw it on a TikTok. That's how we got started. Bob actually sent me the video of this. We
saw their disclosure thing that they were talking about.
So future data releases may include citing counts, radar, EMF field readings, and visual references for these classes are included in Skywatcher public media. Yeah. So go out there, go down that rabbit hole. You know how we feel about things. We want you guys to go out and do some investigation yourselves. We'll get you started, but we want you guys to go out and check the things out and learn the things yourselves and see what you guys can come up with. And so if you're a big UFO person, this is the newest, latest, and greatest on the board. I mean, literally hot off the presses. We saw this video literally 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, normally we usually have about 5 days when we see a new video or something. We got about 5 days to wait for the podcast before we start talking about it. But this is right there.
I will tell you, aside from the Stephen Greer thing that they didn't give any credit to the person who invented this protocol, which is that's a red flag. But the second red flag that I noticed is they're using AI to enhance their videos.
The video?
Yeah.
Ooh, see, I didn't know that.
Before you even get into this stuff, right? So I'm still hopeful.
It's a matter of time. Now we just have to see how it flows.
But I'm telling you from the jump, I haven't dug in that far, but I've already noticed 2 glaring red flags in this system. When they say we developed this psionic system, they did not.
Right.
That's straight CE5, Dr. Greer's thing he's been doing since the 90s, right? So they didn't develop anything.
So this may be another rabbit hole, Egyptian pyramids all over again.
Well, sometimes I feel like the government funds these things. You know what I mean? Like they like, hey, you want a grant to do this? And then they kind of lead them into making these kind of claims. You know what I'm saying? So they can come out and say like, well, we've definitive evidence of this. And everyone who's involved on that end of it knows that it's fake.
Right.
But they're trying to move the needle into the Sun and the National Enquirer direction,
right?
So that way, when something really does happen, they can say,
maybe there's. So the thing is, maybe the end game is already over here, and they're trying to lead us down closer and closer, so that when this pops off, that we're closer to it and go, oh yeah, we can believe that.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So maybe guide us into knowing the full truth.
So they just want to shift they call it the Overton window, right? They're trying to move the Overton window over so you can see, like, okay, maybe there is disclosure coming, what I mean? But that, if you've been like us in the UFO community for a long time, like I have for certain, since the 80s, I've been in UFO circles, this is a carrot that the government dangles in front of your face constantly. I found a Fate magazine. Remember back when people had paper magazines?
Yeah. A
Fate magazine talking about imminent disclosure from the Pentagon in 1976.
That happened.
This is any day now. We're going to get this disclosure.
Right.
That guy's got gray hair and he's leaning on a cane. Any day now, we're going to get that disclosure. Bill, shut up. They're never going to give you disclosure.
It's never going to happen.
If you know anything about our government, a UFO could be parked on top of Congress with aliens rappelling out of it, and they will look you dead in the eye and tell you you're crazy. There are no aliens here, like aliens sitting right next to them, like taking their necklace off, and they don't even exist. What is it that they will gaslight you to the nth degree?
Well, and the problem is there's AI is getting so good at generating stuff
for real
that it's hard to tell what's real and what's not real anymore.
Right.
And the question is, like, how far do we go with this? You know what I mean? Like, how are we going to be able to discern the truth from the fiction in the future? You know?
And like I said with the pyramid thing, I had to take frames of the thing and put it into the AI detecting program. Like, I had to take it over and over again, and it was like 99.9% fake. I put another one in, 99.6% fake. And I'm like, how are people... You know what I mean? Because when we first saw it, we were on board. We were like, "Oh man, look at all this disclosure," And then we read the article.
Yeah.
And then we started watching it, and then I started digging into their webpage and taking all the back end data out of their webpage and sticking it into these AI detecting programs, and it was red flag city. So, could this be the same thing? It could, but it could be true too. You have to have that open mind, to say, I want for this to be true.
Right.
But how many times do we fall for that, where we're like, "Oh man, here we go,
Yeah, this is
disclosure's
awesome.
coming."
No, fall on
And
your
then
face.
at the end, the government rips the rug out from underneath of you, and you're left laying on the concrete, staring up at the ceiling like,
What happened?
what's her name? Lucy, who takes the ball
Away from Charlie Brown. Yeah.
like that's us all the time. Like,
I swear I won't do it this time.
you're not going to take the ball away. Of course, I'm not going to take the ball. Come on, kick it. And as soon as you get up there, whoop, boom, right on your back every time.
So, if you want to go to their website, check it out, Skywatcher.ai, and on YouTube, it's Skywatcher HQ.
Yeah.
If you want to go down those rabbit holes yourself, go check them out. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. The T-shirts are on
Printly.
Printly.
I put the link in the description of
There
the
you
video.
go.
They look awesome too. I've already got mine.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, we should have brought it down.
Yeah, I already got I got a long sleeve T-shirt, a short sleeve T-shirt,
They're
and some
good
little
material?
stickers. Look really nice.
Nice.
Really nice.
Even better than Teespring
Yeah,
ones.
a lot
Nice.
better than the
Awesome.
Teespring.
And they were cheaper than the Teespring
Yeah.
ones. And they have better customer
Faster.
service. So if you go to Printly and you pull up the Veritas Project, you'll find
Yep.
the T-shirts.
And you can
So if
search
want
on
some merch-
Printly.
Yep, that's the good thing. You'd
In
search
Spotify,
first.
you could never search.
Or Teespring.
Teespring, I mean. Yeah, on Teespring,
So-
you could never search. So now on this one, you can search, and we show up immediately. You can buy all the stuff. They give you a tracking number as soon as they print it. Like, it's the most legit experience we've ever had with our merch.
Discord. Do you want to join Discord channel? Look up the Veritas
Yeah.
Project on Discord. Join our channel. Ask questions. Send us your stories.
In real time.
In real time. And once again, I will reiterate, send us those stories, because we have someone that wants to send us a story, but they're afraid to send us a story because they are one of our mods and they don't want to be the only one that sends us a story and
Well, that guy
end up
from New York-
winning.
Oh, I got you.
For-
the guy
for a
from New York
giveaway.
already sent us the story already.
So, but we will take stories until the end of April.
Yeah.
May, any stories that we will get will be turned into podcast, and the beginning of June, whichever podcast has the most views, that person will win the Paranormal Starter Bag,
There you go.
which is, we figured out, probably about a $200 to $250 value. The price of the bag is, it's a nice bag, and all the paranormal paraphernalia inside. It's a good, nice starter bag. So, send us your stories. You want a chance to win. I mean, legit, if we get one person, that person wins. I don't care who it is. It could be Bob's mom. I don't care.
Whoever it is.
Whoever it is, they send us a story,
There's
they win.
already a guy who's got a head start on you.
Yeah. But, so if we can get in contact with that guy
Yeah,
again.
we
So.
can find him again.
But yeah, send us your stories. We want all the stories. Also, I can't think. Patreon.
Yeah.
So join the Patreon.
Get the postcards.
If you become a $5 member on the Patreon, you get our monthly postcards we send out. Bob and I will sign you a postcard and get you a nice message. They're awesome. This month was Cthulhu Easter Bunny. They all say welcome to the Fringe.
Yeah.
And we send those out at the beginning of the month, all signed and ready to rock and roll. And Kim did get all hers now. So
Nice.
Kim has all her postcards. She's all caught back up. So does that cover everything? We still have half a room available at the Lemp.
Oh, yeah.
So if you are interested in coming to the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis for the second annual meet and greet, we still do have, we say it's half a room, but it is legitimately a full room.
Right.
But they sell it as, it's got a door in between, a sliding door that locks in between the two rooms. Both halves of the room have a bathroom.
Right.
But they will not sell it as individual rooms. They book it as a full room.
Because you have to go through the one and to get in the other. Is that what it
No,
is? Huh.
there's two separate doors, separate door in between. I don't know why they don't do it. But anyway, we have one of our regulars who came to the first meet and greet. She has already booked the full room, but is willing to split it up and go 50-50 because it's 2 queen-size beds, 2 bathrooms, the whole 9 yards. It's a full suite. And so she's willing to separate that up if somebody still wants to come out and catch the other half of that room. Yeah. So just message Bob or I. Also, if you want to send those stories to us, Bob is the Real Veritas Project at gmail.com. Bleh. And I'm investigator.todd.paranormal at gmail.com. Send us those stories. If you're watching us here on TikTok, you can send us the stories through either the Veritas Project or Investigator Todd down here.
Yep.
And be as detailed as you can get about stories. Tell us everything, how old you were, what was the weather like, what time of day, how it made you feel, everything. As much detail as you can give us, and so we can make a whole podcast on it. We've already done one. So I think that covers just about everything.
Yeah.
Don't forget, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the little notification bell up here on YouTube. And thank you for all the likes, taps, and shares and everything down here on TikTok. And we'll hang around on TikTok and answer some questions if anybody's got any questions.
Yeah.
Thank you once again for joining us on the podcast. And remember,
stay curious
and find the truth, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
See ya.